video. Today looks like the perfect day to build a snowman. Inside. The first thing I'm going to do is make my snowman's features out of Premo Sculpey. So I'm using Premo Orange for his carrot nose, some black for his eyes and his mouth and his buttons, like all the coal pieces. Then I mixed up 3 different shades of brown for his branch arms. And I am doing the arms a little bit different, so like one would be thinner than the other one, so they'd look more varied and more natural. And the last thing I want to make for my little snowman is a top hat. Again, I'm going back to the black clay. I haven't made a top hat for a snowman before, at least none that I've done for my wife. So I thought that would be a fun addition to this little guy. So I'm going to go ahead and I did use a little jar to get the circle for the brim. And then I'm making the top of it, and just getting a little cylinder shape, rounding it out, getting it exactly how I want it. Press it into place so it stays attached. And then once I get it all attached, I'm going to use kind of a bigger ball tool to press in an indentation at the base of it so it'll kind of rest on his head. Once that's all finished, I'm going to go ahead and bake all of these according to package instructions. Now, once they've cooled down, I've got them ready here to go on my snowman, but I'm going to set those aside, and I'm going to use some Worbla Deco art to make the body of the snowman. So I'm just going to go ahead and I pour it into a glass mixing bowl, or cup, it's like a large cup, and heat it up with a heat gun. And what I like about the white Worbla Deco art is it becomes kind of translucent when it gets hot enough to sculpt. I decided to use this little stirring stick to mix it, but it was kind of sticking to that, so I just had to mix it with my hands. But you want to be really careful because thermoplastic gets very hot. That's how you have to heat it up to sculpt it. So be very careful if you ever, work with thermoplastics. Then what I like about it is I've made some other projects and I've noticed they kind of droop down when they cool, so you have to keep propping them up. So I thought, hey, that would work really well for a melting snowman. I'm going to use the natural flaws of this Worbla Deco art. I shouldn't say flaws, more like characteristics. But you can see here it's already starting to droop down some. But I'm just going to go ahead and let it sit and droop on its own. But that might be too much drooping. I don't think I want it to look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of prop it back up a little bit and see if I can get it to, keep its form a little more than what it was doing. Now, once you get it into a certain position and it's not, that warm, it's starting to cool off, it'll keep that pose and you don't have to worry about it as much. And it's still soft enough that I can go ahead and attach his arms. I thought about attaching his face, so I went ahead and grabbed one of his little eyes and I stuck that on there, but then it kind of just fell off. And then I thought, well, I'm going to mess up the base sculpt, so I'm going to let that cool, and thought I would just, let this be more sturdy and then heat up the main surface. And you can see all my little parts just went flying. So I'm grabbing my eyes, pushing those in, but the surface is squishy, but the inside isn't, and it would take a lot to heat that inside back up, so that way I won't distort it, and this was a little bit easier to work with, I thought. So now I'm just attaching his nose, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach his hat, and then I will heat him up some more and attach the rest of his features. Well, actually, I won't heat him up some more yet. Spoiler. So I'm just going to add his mouth, and I did have 5 pieces for his mouth, but I think one of them got lost when that paper blew away, so I'm just going to add the 4, which, it doesn't matter. There's not a set number he has to have, and actually this worked out pretty well. I'm happy with the spacing on it, and I think having 5 there would almost make it too long, so that actually, worked in my favor. So now I'm going to heat it up some more and add his little coal buttons to his chest. Get those pressed in there, and I'm lining up at an angle so they kind of follow along with how he's drooped over. You can see here I use my needle tool to adjust all my pieces, or a lot of my pieces. That way it helps get them exactly how I want them. So now I'm just going to smooth them out a little bit. And one thing I noticed, I don't like this arm. It's like too long. I like that it's thinner, but it was too long. So I'm going to go ahead and clip it off, and I'll reinsert it, and I wanted to raise it up a little bit. I wanted his right arm to look like he's waving and his left one just sticking out. So here is the finished Melting Snowman out of Worbla Deco Art and Premo Sculpey. I'm really happy how this guy turned out. I love the feel and the look of the Worbla Deco Art. It works really well for this character. But the last thing I wanted to show you was all the handmade snowmen together that I've made for my wife. I'm really happy how this guy turned out, and I think he's a great addition to her collection. All right, well, thanks for watching, and remember, never stop creating. Bye.
All I'm doing is spinning out.